Good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of philosophy, and we're discussing the third year syllabus of the Roberts philosophy. We have started with the chapter that is the Our Remedies, Why They Act, chapter number 7. And we have almost finished the chapter where he tried to explain the scientificity behind the action of medicine. Robert has tried his level best to explain how scientific our medicines are there, why they act. He has tried to correlate the periodic table with the action of the medicines, how in minute doses they works in the development of the constitution of human being, maintaining the harmony of human being, and how in minute doses, if they are little bit less, how they affects and produce the disease. In the similar manner, how homeopathic remedies, even though so minute in their content, how they act, and he has tried his hypothesis with the help of all those examples. Then he has given the example of animal kingdom, and he has explained that just a sting of insect bite or even bee, and how it affects, produces poisonous effects. In the similar manner, so minute is the dose, and medicine prepared from the same bee, it acts. And he tried it to explain it from vegetable kingdom, from animal kingdom, mineral kingdom, basic three sources of the preparations of the drug. And he wants to show to the world, yes, even though it looks like just a placebo, it is not a placebo, it has energy inside it, and which acts and produces its action. So chapter name is very correct, Our Remedies, Why They Act, and behind that, to explain the concept of scientificity behind the action of remedy. We were on the page number 71. Let us start with the new paragraph over there. That is, thus we find that in the birth of, say, two of our common earth elements, iron and silicon, we find tremendous powers liberated in the heavens. For convenience, Millikan in this article speaks of magnesium and aluminium as coincident with the silicon because of their close atomic weights. We all know their effectiveness when energy is released by long trituration and powerful succussion. Chemical analysis of some of our plant remedies reveals the presence of one or more of these common earth elements assimilated, broken into form that supplies life energy to the plant. We find in a cursory examination of Lycopodium clavatum that it contains aluminium. Consider that this element has a powerful effect of animal tissue and animal energy when powers when its powers are released by reducing it to the form of the homeopathic potency. Consider, I say, its profound effect after its assimilation by the plant, its energy they are partially released for the effective reaction, and that in turn undergoing a further breaking up and disintegration by the process of trituration and the potentization. Now he is explaining about the plant kingdom. He has given simple example of a lycopodium. Lycopodium has many properties common to the aluminum and silica. So question arises, why this proving of aluminum, silica and lycopodium comes closer? Why their properties are same when they are proved? The reason is that the lycopodium contains the aluminum in its plant, and that aluminum brought into that plant, brought from the earth, it was in a different source. If same aluminum one has consumed, never have effect directly. But if it goes through the lycopodium plant, where it has been digested over there in the plant, and then when it enters inside the human body in the form of by the method of trituration and or succussion, then it releases its energy and property. So it is already properly digested, and because of which its properties becomes very easy to get liberated, which was not possible in crude form. And that's why lycopodium shows many closer manifestations to the alumina, and same is true with the silica. So this type of study, if one do, it will be helpful for the homeopaths as well for the homeopathy to show to the world the scientificity of homeopathy. He tried to explain the same thing, why our remedies acts and why there is similarity in the action of many elements with the vegetable elements or vegetable remedies. And that's why we have a correlation that pulsatilla has a chemical analog like kali muriaticum or kali sulfuricum, like that. And why? Because the plant contains those elements, and because of which there is definitely a similarity in presentation. So this is what wants to explain. He gives the very good example of lycopodium over there. Further, he says the history of lycopodiaceae may be of still further interest in giving us reason for its effectiveness. Among the old forms of life, those forms which have existed longest upon the earth, we find the mosses, and of these, this family is the hardy family. It is probably one of the oldest living forms of the earthy plant life, that is, dependent both upon the soil and water. It has persisted past all changes in circumstances and conditions, and probably has changed its forms less to the meeting changing conditions and than almost any other form of life, except possibly by the equisetum, another of the living early surviving forms. This tenacity of life, adapting itself to the circumstances without confronting, without comforting, bespeaks a tenacity of the energy that, when released, must powerfully affect that which it touches. This example is also given by Shankaran sir in his Soul of Remedies to introduce the lycopodium. Lycopodium earlier was a very big plant, but later on it was it has become very shortened. But still it survived in the history of a lycopodium because it has adapted to the surrounding, adapted to the environment, and it has changed its properties, but it still remained persistent to fight. And in order to survive, mm, it has adapted its own life. The lycopodium is like that. Lycopodium adapts very easily. Lycopodium molds very easily. The properties of lycopodium plant enters inside the human being, and that's why we have a lycopodium personality. The lycopodium plant has that energy. If we give lycopodium to the patient, that energy which is there in the form of a properties works over there and produces its symptomatology. This is the big thing. This is the big reason which he is explaining over there, along with equisetum, one more remedy from plant kingdom, and who it has survived in the era of, in the or in the past era. These are the few plants which survived. Many plants died. Many plants completely gets ruined. But these some plants remain. Equisetum hymenale contains silicon in the form of oxide and the magnesium. In the analysis, the amount of silicon may run from 7.5% to the 41.2%. If at their birth, these elements register such tremendous energy as the cosmic waves reveal, what effectiveness must we expect when has it has been assimilated, broken down, first in the plant life, and then by trituration and potentization, even in minutest quantity. He is again giving a scientific proof. Equisetum, a very good remedy for urinary tract infections, or specifically whenever there is a tremendous urging for urination and burning for urination, and patient goes from one place to another place, sometimes paralytic bladder. In such types of condition, equisetum is a wonderful remedy. Very strong action on the urinary tract, but it contains the silica over there. More amount of silica is present over there, and silica has its own energy. Being an element, the silica is very strongest element. And when it is more in the equisetum, and already it is that silica which has digested by that plant in order to survive and develop, then if we triturate, if we succus, we liberate more energy from that aqueous atom. And that's what he is explaining. Then this plant, after trituration or succussion, how strong energy medicine it becomes. Because you have applied the force externally and we have liberated the potential energy which was present there in the form of silica. It is not only the silica, rest of the elements are also there, but silica is having in more quantity over there. So he is explaining you the reason that why our those remedies acts, because they contain such a energy elements which are already there on this in this earth. When animal, vegetable and mineral substances are potentized, they are rendered more potent because of the breaking up, disintegration of the thin atomic relationship that place them in a form where they act directly upon the dynamic course of the individual. That is in their disintegration. Their energy is liberated by releasing the radioactive power through the radioactivity, exerting itself upon the vital energy of the individual. The power potency is made effective. So what do our method of potentization do? Whether it may be trituration or whether it is succussion. With the method, both the methods, what do? We release the energy. We make them radioactive. It is a word which has been used. If we want to say more scientifically, we release the potential energy and makes it or converts it into kinetic. And that's why it acts directly. When you put a one drop inside the mouth, it starts working because it is in potential form, that is in kinetic form. In another word, he is explaining it. It is nothing but you are making it radioactive. That's why it acts. It works. Thus, we are forced to recognize different forms of energies, the discharge of different energies and rays from what we have considered as an inanimate metals and elements. So, inanimate metals and elements become radioactive, becomes energy medicines. We find that they respond energetically in much the same way as the plants and animals, not alone in their simple states. Do we find this response? But again and again, as they are assimilated, broken down, and rebuilt in a different forms of life, from the simple assimilation and complicated rebuilding of the plant to the profound reaction on all living substances when they are in potentized form. So potentization makes the inert substance to gets converted into the active substance. And that's why we used to do a definition. It is a mathematical mechanical process by which inherent medicinal properties of the crude drug substances are aroused into activity. So this is a very good definition which itself defines, yes, this is the method by which these inherent properties which are hidden, which comes into existence. In crude form, they are not at all there. We recognize that elements having high atomic weights are radioactive. This postulation or his theory he has mentioned while explaining the SORA, the psychosis, and syphilis. And in syphilis, he has mentioned higher the atomic weight, higher is the radioactivity. So we recognize that elements having high atomic weights are radioactive. They give off spontaneously rays of different velocity and penetrating power, and in their radioactivity, their dissemination of energy, they are themselves changed. Einstein expresses this change when he says the change of mass equals the change of energy. They vary energy, as they vary energy, as they vary, energy vanishes with mass, and so they are equal. So now he is explaining more physics. So element which liberates more radioactivity gets converted. So a radioactive substance, after long thrown away radioactive rays, ultimately gets converted into a different element because the atomic weight is lost, and now it is labeled as a new element. So it itself indicates that those rays acts on the human body. Simple example is X-ray. those rays affect the human body. And that's why we have to wear a complete iron-bound jacket in order to survive our body from the X-rays. Because the effects on gonads producing its effects, so potent they are, even though they are not visible to your eyes. And that's why, in the similar manner, even though our remedies which are not visible, they are dynamic, still they act because those are in the similar manner radioactive as well as potentized. Mass, in the sense, does not mean bulk as we commonly think of it. It is rather than some total of that which gives of energy and is capable of giving of energy, and of which energy in some part, some form is a part. As in mathematics, that which means after subtraction is not after subtraction is not as great as before. One cannot go on subtracting without coming to the end of that form, which we would subtract. Thus, we see that uranium or thorium, after having discharged its rays from long period, is so changed that we recognize it as a radium. So he is giving you example. He is giving you one simple example that uranium which throws away tremendous radioactive rays. When it goes on and it goes for many years, the atomic weight is lost. And then the same element now, when it has lost its atomic weight, gets converted, which is called as thorium. Again, thorium is a radioactive substance which throws away lot of continuously rays, and after long years of throwing away radioactive rays, then it gets converted into a less atomic weight, to which we label by the name of radium. So this is what happens. So our medicines are prepared from the same sources. We have uranium nitricum, we have thorium, we have radium brom. They act because they throws away the radioactive rays. Radium, in turn, after exhausting certain degree of its radioactive powers, becomes lead. So lead is the product which has developed after throwing away the radioactive power. For instance, we know that uranium, being the heaviest element, would be number 92 in the scale of atomic numbers with an atomic weight of 238.40. Thorium, number 90, has an atomic weight of 232.12 and is so similar in some phases of its nature to uranium that it is also source of radium. It stands out in the atomic scale as 88 with an atomic weight of 225.97. The lead has atomic number 82 with an atomic weight of 207.22. The differing atomic weights of these substances demonstrates Einstein's statement regarding the change of mass equally the change in the energy. So, as you go on increasing the atomic weight, or as you look towards the increased atomic weight, those are the substances which carries more energy. When they throw away energy, they are converted into less atomic weight and their name is changed. So uranium becomes thorium, thorium becomes radium becomes lead when they throw away their radioactive powers. We have spoken of before of homeopathy in its relation to the fundamental laws, and this chapter is an attempt to set forth further deduction on that basis. Thus, we comprehend that every step towards understanding the working of natural laws brings us to the clearer vision of few basic cosmic laws, fundamentally new in number, but with multiplicity of the manifestation. The laws governing homeopathy are seemingly not closely associated with the laws governing other forms of pure sciences. Yet the knowledge is born in upon us that this is one manifestation of that which is basic. It differs only in its manifestation and not in its essence. We must teach ourselves to discriminate between the multiple manifestations or applications of the law through differing forms as they appear to the casual observation and their essences which are so closely similar to lead us to the question if they be not fundamentally identical. So, what he is saying, when you read the first 2, 3 chapters of this book, there is a chapter that fundamental laws and homeopathy. He has explained the correlation between the laws of biology, laws of physics, laws of chemistry, and how those laws goes hand in hand with the laws of homeopathy. Those laws are not different. What homeopathy says is not different than the laws of basic sciences. If they differ, then definitely your law is something wrong. It should not. Only thing is that there must be a change in words because of the change of the subjects, but they are identical. And this is what he wants to explain. And that's why he wants to give you example that homeopathy is totally based upon the laws of biology, laws of physics, laws of chemistry. You can apply all those 3 sciences to the homeopathy, and it is possible only in homeopathy. Hahnemann, being the student of the science, he has tried his level best to make our science, homeopathic science, or his science, more and more scientific. So Robert has tried to explain this in relation with the science. And to conclude the chapter, what he says, Sir J.C. Bose, from whose invaluable records we have quoted from time to time, quotes from ancient Hindu philosophy, a throbbing, vital truth to which every thoughtful homeopathic physician can subscribe, and that he must heed. They who see but one in all the change, manifoldness of the universe, of this universe, unto them belongs eternal truth, unto none else, unto none else. So what he is explaining, he has taken the help of again J.C. Bose, and what J.C. Bose has taken the help of Hindu philosophy, where this quote has mentioned. What is that? What is there in the universe? What is truth of the universe is the truth of science. It comes, only thing is that many things we don't know. We know the facts, but we don't know the laws behind it. We know the facts, but we don't know the science behind it many times. We have to go on learning, and we have to show it to the world and show that whatever is there in our homeopathy is nothing but the scientific. And that's why our remedies looking to be having, looks to be, doesn't carry the medicine, how they carry the properties in the form of vital energy and how human reacts to them. That's what, in order to explain how our remedies, why they act, he has written this whole chapter and explained thoroughly to show to the world the scientificity of the action of homeopathic medicine. So that's all for today. We have finished one more chapter from the from this book. Then we have to go towards the next chapter, that I think the chapter number 10, that is the law of cure. 8th and 9th we have finished in second year. So that is already uploaded over there. The third year syllabus, the law of cure is there. Tomorrow we'll start with new chapter, that is law of cure, and we'll understand the scientificity of law of cure over there. So thank you being there. Today evening we'll meet. I think the remedy is oxalic acid. Today's remedy is oxalic acid. We'll meet at 8:15 with oxalic acid. A remedy, short remedy given by Boric. I don't think oxalic acid is there in Allen's keynotes. नहीं है oxalic acid, भगवान. So we'll learn oxalic acid from Boric's Remedica today. So thank you and meet again at 8:15. Good night.